Now I'm going to ask my colleague Mhairi Reid to join me on screen. Morning, Mhairi. Thanks for joining us. So Mhairi is just going to delve in a bit more into relationship-based practice and what that looks like and feels like for us as a trust. So I'll hand over to you now, Mhairi.
Thanks very much, Carol, and a warm good morning to you all. The dictionary defines relationship as the state of being connected. Now, I can't see you, so I'd love to start by just taking a moment to connect with you. I'd like you to open the chat and type into it any and all of the words that come into your head when you think about relationships. It can be words that are positive or not, words that relate to how people feel through relationships, or even where people experience relationships. Just let each word surface and flow out from your fingertips. I'll give you sort of 10 or so seconds to do that. Wow, that's amazing. Actually, I'm just seeing this all coming up on my screen. Thank you so much for sharing, and please continue to do so. Now, here's a selection of the words that we regularly say and here at the Life Changes Trust when we're talking about relationships. As we enter into the last 6 months of the Trust's work and share evidence of the impact of £50 million worth of funding, everything circles back to relationship-based practice. And the aim of this event is to give you a flavour of what that practice looks like for us and the projects we fund, to explore some of the guiding principles and challenges around this way of working, and to shine a light on why relationships matter. Now, relationship-based practice isn't a new phenomenon. You can go back decades and find people and cultures that have always pushed boundaries. They've always looked beyond processes and models and targets to prioritise a relational approach to supporting young people. The difference now is that this way of working is becoming normalised, and for many, it's actually mandatory. The spotlight is on relationships now, and it's there because there are policy and legislative drivers behind it. From the Christie Commission's emphasis 10 years ago on moving away from top-down expert cultures to the much more explicit requirements of the promise and the incorporation of the UNCRC into Scots law. It's time for everyone who has responsibilities towards children and young people with care experience to step up and invest in ongoing dialogue and reciprocal relationships with them, and demonstrate how listening is accompanied by the meaningful involvement of young people in decision-making. Here at the Trust, we've had time and resource to focus on and invest in lots of different relationships. And we've got a culture that recognises the importance of all these things that you see on your screen. We're all supported in our own ways to prioritise relationships and deepen our understanding of the lives and experiences of the people that we're here for. It takes leadership and support to build a staff team committed to this way of working. We all know that this isn't a 9-to-5 job. Every person in the Trust understands the importance of listening, honesty and flexibility, and we're all willing to go the extra mile to trust and be trusted by young people. We know this practice has to be mirrored in our role as a funder too. Projects need flexibility and encouragement from us to be able to commit to relationship-based practice. We're always at the end of the phone and we encourage people to talk to us about applications or any changes that they want to make to their project or budget. We run regular network meetings where practitioners have the opportunity to be together and share stuff, because we think that reflection and peer support is important to all of this. The Trust has always clearly communicated our intention to fund organisations that are ambitious for young people, that are focused on relationships and committed to working in cooperation and not competition with each other. We also make sure that we walk the walk and do the kinds of things that we ask of funded projects. Young people with care experience inform every aspect of our work, and we also make grants directly to them. Now, there's no blueprint for this for relationship-based practice, but we can clearly identify strong guiding principles that support this way of working. I want to bring this to life for you, and I can't think of a better way to start than with our relationship with Trust Advisory Group. The group is made up of passionate volunteers who all have their own experience of care and who give up their time to advise the Trust and deliver transformational funding initiatives. We started our journey together by gaining an understanding about who we are as people and what our shared values and goals are. We got to know each other and built trust before progressing on to some incredible work together. Now, some really important things sit behind that work. We've got dedicated staff time and resource to support advisors and facilitate regular group activity. Making and eating food together, kicking your shoes off at weekend residentials, social activities and having fun together. These have always been present amongst a whole lot of serious work. The Trust gives support, space and permission for staff to make decisions and balance risks. We invest in all those things that are often the first to be questioned when budgets are tight. Training, quality snacks, birthday cards, Christmas presents, supporting job applications, talking through essays for university, or simply having a good chat about the latest box set you've just binged on Netflix. It's so important to have time and discretionary spend for those small, unplanned moments of concern where you know that a simple action could have a big impact on a young person's life. Recognising when work is voluntary and when it is right and appropriate to pay advisors has also been important for us, as is supporting their personal development and their aspirations outside of their work with the Trust. Being flexible with each other has been crucial. The timing of meetings, giving people the space to be heard, being comfortable with people stepping back from the group when they need to. As you'll soon see when we publish the advisory group evaluation later this month, we all get so much out of our relationships with each other. Advisors describe the relationships they've made as lifelong friendships, family, and feeling at home. They value the fact that this work has connected them to a range of opportunities and networks rather than just simply giving them a platform. The group have developed and delivered individual grants initiatives. They've made decisions in hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of funding. They've advised trustees, chaired conferences, provided consultancy support, responded to policy consultations, participated in recruitment, and so much more. They challenge us and they offer invaluable insights and ideas around everything from the language that we use to the scale of our ambitions for young people. They care about us on a professional and a personal level, and we're a better funder and better people because of it. When the pandemic started, we worked with the group to design an individual grants initiative called the Keep Well Fund. It offered up to £250 to young people to support their mental and their physical well-being through lockdown. It was designed as a light touch initiative, so it might not seem like it would be an obvious example to highlight today, but without the relationships that we have, the Keep Well Fund just wouldn't have happened. There were Just Eat deliveries and weekly evening Zoom meetings with advisors who understood what young people would be going through, wanted to do something about it, and knew that we trusted each other to make it happen. There were phone calls to other funders when we were inundated with 800 applications. And there were so many workers who supported a broad range of young people to apply, including those who are often silenced. And one particular application from a young person called Sam will stay with me forever. Sam is non-verbal and has complex learning disabilities. He didn't physically type the words in the application, his worker Jane did, but that application belonged to him. Jane took the time and was able to use her observations and her relationship with Sam to write that application in his voice. Sam was able to tell us that he wanted a trampoline with a safety net, and we were able to fully understand the purpose and joy that a bounce would bring to Sam during lockdown. The application, it just encapsulated everything that we mean when we talk about relationships and rights-based approaches. Now, we're not alone in identifying guiding principles that support this way of working. An evaluation of the impact of the Trust Investment and Champions Boards will be published in November, and it offers brilliant insights and learning around the importance of building relationships when you want to achieve really big things with young people, such as radically improving the way that services are designed and delivered in Scotland. Champions Boards found that Taking the time to build strong relationships between young people and between young people and their corporate parents helped to build a strong foundation for influencing activity. Staff sometimes face challenges from people in their organisation who looked at relationship building activity as an extravagance or a cost that had to be justified. A few had to work hard to demonstrate why things like trips and residentials and movie nights were important. But staff recognised that these things not only helped to build relationships, but meant that people felt more able to express themselves freely in a safe and supportive environment. And the physical environment itself was also important. Thinking about the atmosphere within a place and the control that young people have over it can really help to balance power dynamics and create a shared space where young people feel that they're on an equal footing with adults from the get-go. So aside from the policy imperative, why does all of this matter? Well, we've got the evidence to show that practical and emotional support and encouragement through relationships improves well-being and mental health, increases confidence and self-belief, builds trust, and teaches us to listen and respect different opinions. And this is as true for us as it is for young people. Young people have told us that through their involvement in initiatives like Champions Boards, they now have a better sense of what a positive relationship actually looks like. And they've learned how to be that positive connection for other young people too. They're more willing to try new things. Now, this might not seem like a big deal, but it's a huge aspect of figuring out who you are and what you want to do with your life. They're engaging more with education, learning how to challenge and be challenged. And because of the relationships they've built through Champions Boards and other trust-funded work, young people are feeling better about themselves and their care experience. They consistently tell us about the importance of safe, inclusive interactions, and they tell us that small things are big things in their world. Someone remembering their name, someone marking an important moment or an achievement in their life. This stuff really matters, but because it really matters, and because conversations are often overly focused on boundaries and risks, this can be uncomfortable territory for people. Even people like me who love building relationships. In previous roles, getting out into communities was the thing that energised me the most. But I was nervous about joining the trust. I knew about their commitment to relationship-based practice, and I thought, well, what if the young people don't like me? What if I do something wrong? What if a young person gets really attached and needs more from me than maybe I'm able to provide? It's easy to look at that list that you put in the chat and just get a bit overwhelmed. But what you soon realise is this is not all on you. You too exist within a network of relationships. This is about how we all work together to support young people to live their best life. It's not simple or easy, but it's worth it. It requires us to challenge ineffective processes, constraints, and opinions around how money and time should be spent. It also requires an investment in and from us as individuals. But the return on that investment, well, it's a life-changing one. I'm going to finish with a reading from Here I Stand. This honest, raw, challenging and uplifting collection of poetry and reflections from people with care experience is just an incredible resource. If you've not read it, it's available on our website, and it's taught me more than any policy paper I've ever read. The poem I'm going to read is called Irene, and just to flag, there is a very brief mention of self-harm in the poem, so feel free to turn down your sound for a minute if you'd prefer not to hear that. So, Irene. Head shaved like the older boys he followed in the hope of acceptance. A small silver hoop in each pierced ear, just like his dad. Self-harm crisscrossed each arm, a boiling rage poured forth on demand. He fought daily with both adults and children, thought it best to be on a war footing. Wasn't everyone going to hurt you? Cut to the quick of your very being? If you were stupid enough to let them, and he'd been stupid on more than one occasion. Except Irene. She came to his room when on late shift 4 nights every month. If she was ill or on holiday with family, then the time between feeling that way was longer. She'd sit by his bed, tenderly stroke his arm, wrist to elbow in gentle rhythm. Looking at him with the eyes of a mother to an ill son, knew he was a little boy needing love. He fought sleep to prolong that feeling, could never keep awake, such was the soporific effect. In those moments, he felt as a child should, secure, full of warmth, a recipient of true care. He vowed never to forget. One day in the future, I'll write a poem about Irene. Relationships can hurt us and they can cause trauma, but the way out of that hurt and trauma and towards healing and trust and a better life is also through relationships. Boundaries are important and they need to exist to keep everyone safe and well. But relationship-based practice gives us space and permission to challenge taboos and question blanket approaches to things that require nuance. It pushes every single one of us to find the courage to really listen and to connect in a safe and appropriate way. I'm going to hand back to Carol now, but I would just want to thank you for letting me share these thoughts with you this morning. And please get in touch if you'd like to chat.